Okay, this is game end. We survived the early Republic era. Although it was a bit difficult. We faced two Punic Wars in the first turn. The second Punic War came out almost straight away. We suffered a series of event setbacks. So we had a manpower shortage in the very first turn, which meant that it cost 20 talents to raise each legion. Based upon that, we decided not to raise any new legions in the first turn, but to focus on our fleet. So we've got a decent fleet there. And we also were fortunate to get Scipio Africanus coming out at the start of the game. Now, we sent him with the fleet to deal with the fleets, the Carthaginian fleet. He defeated them in battle and came back with a heap of popularity and influence and fame and fortune and so forth. In the second turn, with this second Punic War now as an active war, with the first Punic War, we drew Hamilcar, who added strength to the war. And because we couldn't send Africanus out again, one of my senators was sent out to try to just prosecute the war without necessarily hoping to defeat the Carthaginians. He suffered a defeat and was killed. Now this was coupled with the mortality chip draw on the first turn of one of my senators, which meant that I was down to just one senator. This is my faction over here. So I was down to just Flamininus for most of the game. That was my entire faction, that one guy, who's good for the Macedonian Wars, but we only ever drew one Macedonian... Oh no, we drew a second, right at the very end. We eventually drew a second Macedonian War. So on turn 3, we sent Scipio Africanus back out to defeat the second Punic War with a large army. Now, by this stage, I think he was also elected to something else. He may have been censor on turn 2, perhaps, but he's got a lot of influence, and it was possible for him to be elected consul for life, as you can see there. I think, what are we heading to? Maybe a fourth, and then the fourth turn I think we're at now, and it was getting late, and Scipio Africanus is just way ahead of everybody else in terms of influence and popularity and wealth. This is the rest of his faction here. So this faction had 5 senators compared to, for example, my one. This faction over here only has 2 senators. Valerius did very well. Was Rome consul for a few turns, but nobody else could really compete with what this faction was doing. They were very close to just dominating the Senate stage. And at this stage, we just decided to end it by, praising Scipio Africanus and electing him consul for life. He took control of all the factions and went off. We weren't sure about the legality of this, but he went off for one final battle to defeat the second Punic War. And that's where we ended it.